What's up, chats? How you guys doing tonight? We are live here on YouTube and Twitch to talk about SmackDown. It's been a week since we've talked about anything wrestling related, but I hope you guys are good out there. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss about King of the Ring, about Queen of the Ring, and about Cody's next challenger. But I am not alone in all of this. Oh, no. I have guests because for you see, with anime in our souls and wrestling thoughts out of control. We are a duo of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. Brought to you by AniMa W3 Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And tonight, as you see, we have our two lovely hosts. First off, by orders of the tribal chief, we have Watkins, as always, here to help you guys get through these wrestling events. And from out of nowhere, it is Drop This Box with an awesome new Lyra Valkyria shirt. Dude, that is a great choice to have here. But it's been a week. How you been, man? You know, it's been a time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite some time since we actually hopped on here and talked about wrestling. Like, I honestly can't
Hmm.
even remember the last time we really talked about anything. So I
Yeah.
can't really say it's going to take a bit to get used to everything again. I feel like just jumping on here, everything's back to normal
Hmm.
because we've been doing this podcast for 27 episodes now. So I'm used to the whole feeling of being on here and everything. But yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely do have a lot to talk about because I know we didn't go over Backlash and we didn't go over Monday Night Raw, but we don't want to get off topic because you guys already saw that and you guys
Hmm.
probably don't really care to hear about anything like that right now. So we'll just basically talk about what happened in tonight's show because mainly when it comes to tonight's show, it was mainly focused on the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. And
Hmm.
me and Watkins do have a few things to say about that. But there's one other thing we're gonna start talking about first before we jump into that.
Oh yeah, because yeah, and I do want to say really quick, I do like how the whole episode, and it was kind of like this with Raw too. The whole episode just involves these King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Because I remember, like back in the past, like in the past few years, the few times we've done this, we would have the King of the Ring tournaments, but they would always like kind of take a back seat to everything else. um which kind of sucks in my book because I'm a sucker for tournaments. I mean, hell, one of my favorite arcs in Dragon Ball is the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. I like a good tournament arc is just fun, and I love when WWE gets to do them, mainly because it also kind of hits my old wrestling heart from back in high school. But
Mhm.
I really like how we've been just focusing on these tournaments and like making them feel like something again.
Yeah, because for the longest time, they really felt like nothing, and Vince
Yeah.
didn't really put that much effort into doing the tournaments. That's why when I look back at like the King and Queen of the Ring that we had maybe like 3 to 4 years ago, they didn't really mean anything because you probably didn't get qualifying matches like this to determine who's going to be in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament. So I do like
Mhm.
how Triple H is structuring this. He's actually giving opportunities to even like the newcomers that are coming up on the roster from NXT.
Yep.
Like you have Lyra Valkyria, her debut is on Monday, and she's already a part of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. So
Mhm.
that's Triple H basically trying to show you that he's going to be building these future stars within these tournaments to basically showcase like what they're capable of and what they could bring to the table. So I'm really liking how everything's structured because one of the things you got to keep in mind is you gotta have like proper build up when it comes to these kind of things. So it's not like just this random matches thrown together, then here it is, it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Like within these couple weeks leading into the King and Queen of the Ring, you're actually getting matches throughout every single week. Like this week, we just finished the first round, and then next week we're entering the semifinals, I believe.
No.
Right.
So next week we're apparently
Is
in the
it
quarterfinals.
okay? So
I
quarterfinals.
yeah, because I think they're counting like the final, which is like the Raw and the SmackDown. finalists like facing each
Okay.
other. I think they're counting that as the finals.
Okay, so yeah, so next week
Yeah,
is the quarterfinals,
yeah,
and then the
and
following week is the finals. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like I said,
mhm,
it's a good thing that we're putting a lot of time and effort into this because it's a lot. It just makes the whole tournament mean something, honestly, at the end of the day.
yeah. And that's all we ask for is just make it mean something. Make it mean more than just, oh yeah, you win the tournament, you win a crown, now you're known as King Woods or King Corbin, and you're stuck with a king gimmick for like the next few months, and it could
Yeah,
work, it could not work,
yeah,
you know.
that's something I'm hoping they don't do because I personally don't
Hmm.
want to see either a person who wins the tournament have like this whole gimmick going on. Like if you want to talk about Gunther, for example, Gunther is
Yeah,
already known as the ring general. So if he wins King of the Ring, he's going to be known as the King of the Ring. And if you look at how Gunther's character is structured, you can't really see him betraying a character like that. He's just going
yeah,
to put that under all of his other accolades that he's going to have under his belt throughout his entire career within WWE. And I'm hoping it's just taken seriously. It's not like a whole bunch of cosplay dress up and stuff like that. That's why I
hmm,
said before I really wasn't a fan of it because it didn't really feel like a tournament at all. It just felt like a silly little kid game. So I'm
yeah,
honestly happy that it's actually being taken serious this time, especially
yeah.
when you really want to push like these upcoming stars.
And like I've never like I don't mind when they do like the crowning thing and all that. Like that's
Hmm.
fine because like that's just celebrating the win and all that. You get your pedestal moment. Cool, I'm wearing a crown and cape. That's fine. Like after the whole tournament, but then yeah, it's like when they continue on and they make it your gimmick. Like now you're king, whatever your name is, and it's like, well, okay, that's cool. But it runs its course very easily and very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you
Hmm.
want to do like the whole crowning moment, cool. But after you milk it after a while, it's just going to be stale. Like it's just like spoiled milk. You got to have the milk when it's nice and
Hmm.
fresh. But if you just let it sit for a while, it's eventually going to get spoiled. And
Yep.
running a little gimmick like that for so long, making yourself look like a cartoon character, because that's practically what it is, honestly, is
Exactly.
if you have a gimmick like that, it's making you look like a cartoon character, like you're from Looney Tunes or something like
Yeah.
that, like an ongoing battle between Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. It's just a whole bunch of like silly shit, and I honestly
Hmm.
want this moving forward. If this is going to be a regular thing, which I'm hoping is a
Yeah.
regular thing, where it's just taken seriously and we still have the same rules apply every single year.
Hmm. But we'll get more in depth with the king and queen of the ring as we go on through the night. But we do have one story really quick. Well, just one brief little thing. I mean, I know we had the bloodline too, but we can tie that in with their match and all that. But
Yeah.
one big story that came from tonight, we got to have another challenger for Cody. And with everybody kind of involved with King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, like all that stuff, there's really not many people to choose from, and especially for a Saudi show like a B pay per view, you got to have a legitimate contender. And the most legitimate contender we have right now is our United States champion Logan Paul. So how are we feeling about Logan Paul versus Cody at King and Queen of the Ring?
I honestly have no issues with it. Like I know there's some
Hmm.
people out there that think like Cody's directionless right now, which I don't personally agree with. Because when you look at these Saudi shows, they're meant to be one-off shows, so they're not
Yeah.
meant to be like anything special. I mean, even with Backlash, I can even say that as well. When it comes to like these shows after WrestleMania, like
Hmm.
Backlash and the King and Queen of the Ring, besides the whole tournament itself, like when it comes to like these one-off matches that we see between certain wrestlers, it's just meant to be there because they want to have certain people on the card. They want the card to pop. Obviously, Logan's pretty big in Saudi, so obviously they want to showcase him there. And you're like 2 weeks away from the pay per view. So, how are you going to properly build a contender for Cody? I do realize people were saying, oh, well, you could have done Cody and AJ again, which we have spoke about before on the show. But at the same time, you could possibly, I mean, I get where we could have possibly gone back to that. But at the same time, AJ even alluded on the show that, yeah, if I get another chance at Cody again, I want to make sure that I earn it because he earned it the
Mhm.
first time. And he even said himself today that he wants to earn a shot at him again. So unfortunately, he didn't win his match, which we'll talk more about a little bit later. But at least that's him showing that, yeah, maybe there's some leftover scraps for me and Cody in the near future. But I just think for what it is when it comes to Logan and Cody being at a Saudi show, I feel like it makes sense.
Mhm.
And I also feel like it's going to be a good match as well because Logan Paul, one of the things I can say out of all the celebrities that we've been bringing in into WWE, because I never was like the biggest fan when it came to like all these celebrities coming into WWE because there was like always a whole bunch of botches or just a whole
Right.
bunch of shilly shit where they didn't really take it seriously. But when it comes to Logan Paul, somebody who's like really good in the ring, he's really good on the microphone, and Cody is honestly he's great. He's the poster boy of the company. We already know all Cody's accolades and everything. We don't really need to go into depth with that. But when it
Mhm.
comes to Logan Paul, he makes sense because okay, you want to give Cody like some challengers before we start getting to the meat and potatoes once we head into the summer season. Because honestly, that's what it's gonna really matter when we get into the summer season when we get to like Clash of the Castle and Money in the Bank and
Right.
SummerSlam, that's when you're getting all those meat and potatoes. Right here, it's just calm down season. It's
Exactly.
been
Like,
like that for years.
yeah, like we're still building people, but I think my biggest thing with Cody is like, people say, oh, he's going to be directionless for a bit. I mean, there's even been reports coming out that's saying, oh, WWE doesn't really have a plan for Cody until Rock and Roman come out. But it's like, at least in this day and age, you can have a champion like that because here's the thing, he could still put on really good matches. Like, I mean, just talking about news coming out, put as much stock as you want in Dave Meltzer, but he gave AJ versus Cody a 5-star match, and he doesn't really give a lot of 5-star matches to WWE.
Nope,
Like,
I was honestly surprised when I saw that this afternoon. I was like, "Wow, is
yeah,
somebody trolling? Is this like a
it's like
joke
there's.
post?" Like I had to check the app for a second.
Mhm. Did you see his other rankings too? Like the lowest he had on Backlash was a 3, and that was
Yeah,
Jade and Bianca's.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't
Like,
give like Ilya and Ricochet a little more love because that
oh
was
really?
honestly my match of the week. Honestly,
Oh my god, yes, dude. I went back and watched like the ending portion of that match. Whew, this Ilya's gonna do great on that main roster. He is going to do wonders.
yeah. But it's like going back to Cody when it comes to
Yeah.
him and Logan Paul, it makes a lot of sense. I understand why they're doing
Mhm.
this. Again, and we're gonna keep saying this every time when it comes to Saudi shows. They always do matches like this every single
Yep.
time. You got to get used to the program right by now. It's not us sugarcoating stuff just because we want to like kiss the company's ass or anything like that. That's not the case at all because when me, Watkins, and Vash come on here, we're just speaking from the heart. We're just speaking how we truly feel. And that's why
Mhm.
we're going to have like different opinions on things when it comes to various episodes that we do on the podcast. So it's not us being shy saying, oh, we don't want to actually say that, Cody's directionless because he's going up against like Logan Paul and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. It's
Yeah.
just a Saudi show. It's just the whole system that they've been doing for so long. You
Mhm.
can't really do anything about it. Like, there, when it comes to Saudi, that's one of the other reasons why I don't really care that much about Saudi shows is because it's always you never really get that much build up in between. At least with the other pay per views, you get a good amount of time to build up between certain matches and everything, and you get more flavor when it
Mhm.
comes to like certain storylines that you want to see. And that's why like I'm just gonna speak on this real quick, just to get off topic, just for a few
Oh
seconds.
no,
Like even
you're good.
with like the Sammy Bronson and Gable match, I understand why it's there, but at the end of the day, I honestly just want Sammy and Gable because I honestly feel
Mhm.
like Bronson is just a third wheel in this whole entire feud
Yeah.
that's going on right now, and I feel like
Yeah.
the real meat and potatoes is Sammy and Gable anyway because of the story. Because one of the things I
Mhm.
love about wrestling, and I always say it whenever I do an episode, is I love the story when it comes to certain like people. So I understand
Yeah.
why some people, when it comes to Saudi, are looking for more story. But I definitely feel like after this pay-per-view, things will start picking up, especially when you have that Drew and Punk feud, and you already have an
Hmm.
ongoing story right there. Once we start hitting June, you're more than likely probably going to start seeing things come back together and getting back on track again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And tying this back into like, Cody and Logan now, like and I'm glad you said something about Cody's accolades, because one thing that really stuck in my mind during their little back and forth promo here is Cody mentioning being a Grand Slam champion.
Mm,
Apparently he's never won the US title, which is kind of surprising to me in a way. I thought he would have
yeah.
won that, his first go round being in the mid card and all that, but the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, huh, two belt Cody, maybe? I don't know. How do you feel about the possibility of maybe this being a champion versus like an actual championship versus championship winner take all match?
Oh, it actually is a champion versus champion. Wait, champion versus champion match.
Is it actually gonna be for both titles?
This
Because
is
who?
I'm looking on the Wikipedia page right now, which I know it's not always
Okay.
the best thing to look at that. This is many types of wrestling matches, sometimes called concept or gimmick matches. Champion versus champion match. I'm trying to look it up. It doesn't say
Mhm.
that the belt. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the page right now. Like you have other matches like Becky versus Liv singles match
Yeah.
for the Women's World Championship. So this is honestly just labeled as a champion versus champion match. So um it's not for Logan's title. I think it's mainly just
Okay.
Logan going after Cody's. Or
Okay.
maybe or it's possibly just a match to see who's better between the 2 because you saw Logan
Oh,
talk
just
about
like an
earlier that
exhibition.
he's the main reason why WWE has all this success right now. So maybe this is just a
Mhm.
match proving who's the real golden child in all of this.
I
But
wouldn't mind that. Like, I mean, yeah, yeah, I actually wouldn't mind just like an exhibition. Like, it's not for the titles or anything. It's just for, hey, who's better, who's more on top, who is the top dog.
yeah, but
So
I
I
feel
wouldn't
like
mind that.
when it comes to next week, especially when we had a contract signing announced between Cody
Hmm.
and Logan, I feel like we'll get more in depth with that.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming if it is a contract signing, maybe it's just Cody's title. That's where
Hmm.
I'm leaning more towards because that's what makes the most sense. Because I don't know how I feel about a champion versus champion match because we're happy we're finally getting away from that and things are going back to normal. We finally have, even though more it would make sense to have the tag titles just being one title, um we have the tag title split so everything's back to normal again.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to see like double champions at this time
Hmm.
because why would you want Cody to drop a title to somebody else when he has the main title right now in the company? That doesn't really make any sense.
So how I at least like it this is just fantasy booking with it, but I kind of see him pulling what Keith Lee did when he won the NXT and the North American title, where he's just like, yeah, I'm a double champion, but you know what? I don't want to keep any opportunity from anybody else. And so that's when he like relinquished it and he just stuck to being the NXT champion. So I mean, Cody could do that because he fought the bloodline, he fought Roman, he knows what it's like to not be able to like grasp something or like for other people not to get their opportunities or anything. So if Cody were to win, I could see him maybe pulling that move. Uh, I don't know. We'll just
Yeah.
have to wait and see. There might be something funky with the contract. But I do
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh yeah, go ahead.
one other thing I was gonna add
Mhm.
is well I feel like the main reason why I was gonna say how I'm not really a big fan of like these title versus title matches is because we're finally away from that and we're moving on.
Right.
But I I don't know, like I just I honestly feel like this is I feel like more questions will be answered next week
Mm-hmm.
But all I'm gonna really say at this point is okay, now I remember what I was gonna say. I don't really know if I want to see Logan losing the title right now because more
Yeah.
than likely, if he goes up against Cody and it's a title versus title match, he's losing that match.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't say that Logan's
Like
gonna win that match. He's losing that match. I'm sorry. There's
yeah.
really no excuse for him to actually go over and become a double champion. That makes no sense,
No.
especially after all of that build up with Cody and for him to drop it to Logan within the next month. No, that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. But I feel like especially when you have SummerSlam around the corner, he's more than likely going to enter that pay-per-view as the United States champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm honestly just hoping it's just for Cody's title and then Cody beats him or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's it. So, but we'll, like you said, we'll have to wait and see with this contract signing. I feel like there's going to be some sort of uh little wrinkle going forward with this. But I did want to point out too, we had mentioned people saying, "Oh, Cody is directionless and everything," and I we had mentioned, he's going to have good matches and all that. But like the other thing too is a lot of these like little mini feuds he's going to be having with the title, there's always a story that goes with it. So like with AJ, there was a story of, well, part of the story was, hey, I had fought your dad for a world title. I'm going to fight you for a world title. And it was built upon like this kind of mutual respect between two elites. And then here, we had some things pop up here with like Logan Paul mentioning that they had both debuted, or at least for Cody, re-debuted at the same WrestleMania. They
Hmm.
had both, gone to do great things. I mean, even Cody mentions, you had like 4 or 5 matches in the WWE and you became United States champion. Not many people get to have a run like that. I mean, even Brock Lesnar took, more than 5 matches to win his first title. But,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, yeah, so like Cody, there's always going to be a story with Cody, and I think that's just the beauty of Cody being a champion and being the world champion right now, and this directionless path he has is that he can make anything. He is the definition of make lemonade out of lemons. Like when
Hmm.
life gives you lemons, make lemonade, all that stuff. Like he is the definition of that. Like throw him against I don't know, throw him against Bobby Lashley. There's history with them. You can mention some of the stuff that they've done kind of outside of WWE, since they can kind of mention a little bit more things. They can't name drop certain places,
Mm.
but there's still some sort of history there, and there's some sort of story that Cody can always grasp on to make a good story for that world title and have a
Hmm.
good match, even if he's gonna just even if the outcome is what we think it's gonna be.
And I'm honestly surprised that they since you brought up how they've been able to like name drop certain things. I'm honestly surprised they full on mentioned Bullet Club
Oh, I know.
instead of just saying the club.
hmm
But
I do.
that
I
was just a random thing just to bring up.
Oh
But
no.
I
Well,
get
I
what you
mean, it
mean.
was funny though. Like
Oh yeah.
because like it took me back a little bit when Michael Cole was just like, yeah, they were both former leaders of Bullet Club, and at first I'm like, oh my god, he mentioned Bullet Club on WWE, and then I thought just a little bit more. I'm just like, wait a minute. Oh wait, hold on. Cody wasn't like technically a leader, but that kind of goes into all that story, which I would need to remind myself about a lot of with that. But yeah, I'm excited for this match. I think it's going to be a good match. We're going to get the contract signing next week. Uh, Figure out where things are going to go from there, and yeah, we'll have our world title match set up for the Saudi show. But with that out of the way, just out of the way, done, into the corner now with you. We got to talk about this King and Queen of the Ring tournament because we had some more first round matches tonight from both the women's and the men's side. And as I'm getting up our bracket too, I want to ask you because like we have about like what was it? One, two. We had like 4 matches that got put onto live shows. Uh
Yeah.
And I'm gonna point this out to the chat too, or the comments when you guys are
Yeah.
watching this, afterwards as well. How do you guys feel about these matches being put on live shows?
One thing I will say is I feel like if these matches are put on live shows, it makes them feel important. So
Hmm.
it's not like it's a throwaway match where it's just two people against each other just for the sake of the show, just to have people on there so people have a match to watch. Like there's an actual reason why this match is going on. The only thing I am confused about, and I'm not trying to like throw people under the bus when I say this, but I feel like when it comes to certain people that normally should be on air, like LA Knight, for example, I feel
Hmm.
like LA Knight should have his magic. Oh, okay, this is perfect having this on the screen, so it's easier to
Oh
go
yeah.
over. But and this is just a personal thing. I'm not sure if you feel the same way as I do. But when it comes to like LA Knight, for example, going up against
Hmm.
Escobar this weekend with their house shows, it makes sense, as I said, because you want to give those house shows like a match that actually matters, goes goes towards the tournament and everything. Okay, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
obviously they have a whole plan laid out because of how everything is structured, so that makes sense as well. But, I feel like when it comes to, like, certain people, you should
Hmm.
have, like, LA Knight on SmackDown doing his match, and then you
Yeah.
could probably have, like, Dawkins and Tonga having their match maybe on a house show, but maybe at the same time, it doesn't really make sense to do that because Bloodline is very important right now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. All I'm basically trying to say is I feel like it was just an own personal thing to me,
Right.
where maybe some people that people love to see whenever they go to a live show should be there. But at the same time, like I said, it's just a little nitpick,
Hmm.
and it just I guess not looking at it just makes sense how they're structuring it because they just want to have a proper blueprint when it comes to all these matches being laid out. So I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense why they're doing it this way. And also, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, so maybe they don't want to have these matches feel rushed, where you're rushing like matches that actually matter that people really
Hmm.
like. Like, let's say, for example, you had like Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio take place on Monday, but then you had to cut time. But then you had to cut time from Dragunov and Ricochet.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the
Exactly.
reasons why they're doing it is because they're trying to give more time to those matches that they want to put a lot more love into. If that makes any sense, I don't.
Oh no, it
What are
does.
what are your thoughts on this? Like
Yeah, because
anything I said?
yeah, because so that's the thing. I think it's very important to kind of make the live shows mean a little bit more
Yeah.
because I always think about this one. And I know that it was in Madison Square Garden. I get it. I understand, but this was like a few years ago where AJ Styles beat Kevin Owens for the U.S. title in a house show.
Mm.
And granted, again, it was in New York, it was in like Madison Square Garden. I get that, I understand that, but it's like having just a random title change like that gives intrigue to the live shows. It makes you want to be like, oh, well, anything can happen if there's a title match involved. Okay, fine. And so, like putting these matches in the live shows, I think does add to that. Does it suck that people like LA Knight and Santos Escobar aren't being showcased on TV for this? Yeah, it does, but just seeing how stacked these cards are,
Hmm.
or excuse me, the bracket is, it's kind of hard to make that decision on who's going to be on the house show because it's like, okay, you could have Gunther and Sheamus on a house show, like that would sell tickets, that would sell a lot of live event tickets.
Mm.
But especially with Gunther, he's kind of being built up as the next main eventer. So, well, he's
Yeah.
kind of got to be on TV, And then you look at Dragonov and Ricochet. I mean, Dragonov, he's new to the roster. He kind of needs the TV time so people can get behind him and all that. Like so they can't be on a live show. And just looking at the SmackDown side, Carmelo Hayes and Baron Corbin, they kind of need to be on the show again. Like Corbin's getting built back up, and Carmelo Hayes is new on the roster. Same thing with like Tomatonga and Angela Dawkins. So it's just like sacrifices have to be made, and with all these uh what's the word I'm looking for? Shoot. With all these like strong brackets that we're getting from both the men's and the women's side, and also the amount of matches we're having too with it. Like it's not like a shortened women's bracket or like a shortened men's bracket. Like these are oh, just from Raw. What's what? One, two, three. There's 8 men involved just on Raw. 8 on SmackDown. That's 16 guys in this tournament. 16 women in the other tournament as well. Like that is 8 matches on each show if you're putting every match on TV. You know, and yet we're only getting 6 of them on the TV. Like I mean, that's fine. Or no, excuse me. Sorry, it's like 4 of them, but I digress. Whatever. But I like the idea because again, it helps boost the live shows a bit and kind of helps us breathe a little bit with the tournament as well.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense. And I
mhm,
feel like it's just for this weekend only because
it's same
once
here.
we
Yeah.
yeah, because like once we hit next week, you just have like 2 matches to go through, and then you have that final
Yeah.
match to have before the king and queen of the ring. So I guess it makes sense why they're structuring it like that. So I
Mhm.
agree with everything you said with like how they're laying everything out.
Yeah. But so yeah, let's talk about some of those matches. So again, LA Knight and Santos Escobar, that is happening at a house show this weekend. And the first match we got from the men's side was Carmelo Hayes versus Baron Corbin, which this was a this was a really good match. And because okay, so I don't watch a lot of NXT. So seeing Baron Corbin and his improvement, first of all, like just the way he moves around the ring, like I can tell he is very invigorated. Like he's got this new sense of purpose, I guess, in the WWE. And it's also weird to hear him be cheered. Like because for me, he's one of those guys who's just a forever heel. But he hearing him be cheered was interesting to me. It kind of took me back a bit, but yeah, this was a really good match though.
Yeah, I agree because one of the things I really do like when it comes to this new version of Baron Corbin is
Mhm,
since he went back to NXT and like he alluded to in this show, he had the opportunity to reinvent himself, which I encourage a lot of superstars that are on the main roster where if they feel like they're not really getting they're not really getting where they want to go on the main
mhm,
roster. Don't feel afraid to go back down to NXT and try to find yourself again and then come back because it's not a downgrade, it's not a demotion or anything like that. So I definitely encourage it if you do feel that way. But with Baron Corbin, it's good to see that people actually care about him, especially with like the recent tag team that he had with Braun Breaker that was very
mhm.
successful over there. So it's nice to see Corbin in a new light, and it's nice to see him not in the same position than he was before. Because he even
Yeah.
mentioned his like old gimmicks in here. It's like it's good that I'm just being myself. I'm just doing what's best for me. And I thought that was a really good thing he said back there.
Yeah, because he had a pretty babyface promo in the back. He was,
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, I went through all this adversity. I went back down to NXT to kind of reinvigorate myself, recapture that magic again." And then Carmelo Hayes interrupts the interview, and I mean, I know he's supposed to be cocky and all that, but it came across more of a heel kind of tone with it. So
Yeah.
again, it's just I keep going back because he was one of the last King of the Rings we had, and he was kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of shit back then, and so just seeing it's just so surreal to me that it's kind of a babyface Corbin, and I never thought it would work, but it kind of does. And with him just saying that he's just being himself, I think that's why it works because it's literally just him being him. It's him being because I don't think his real name is Baron Corbin, if I remember correctly, something
Mm-mm.
else. But I mean, it's just him. It's him. It's Baron Corbin, I guess, but real name Baron Corbin. But man, this match was really, really good. And I like one thing too. WWE's doing is we're getting these roll up finishes, but they feel a little different than previous roll-up finishes, if that makes sense. It's like it actually feels like a more competitive one, like, "Oh, I got you. I actually got you." You know, we saw that on Saturday with Bailey and Naomi. Like they were having a roll-up contest and Bailey actually won it. So that was cool. And then here we had Carmelo Hayes reversing the end of days into a roll-up. But like it just feels more like a I don't know how to really describe it other than it just feels more like a competition with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because once Corbin puts you in the end of days, that's honestly hard to get out of most of the time. So
Hmm.
it's actually really that was actually a really creative way for Carmelo to follow up with that.
Yeah. But man, again, I'm just impressed by Corbin. Like I am just so impressed with his uh oh man, I am at a loss for words. I'm just at a loss for words because it's just like I never thought I would be cheering for Baron Corbin in 2024. You know, it's so surreal to me because I remember the time. I remember the dog food drop. I remember the dog food. Like
Or Roman?
yeah, with Roman, like,
Yeah,
I
see,
remember that. Like, I
yeah.
remember him being blamed for Raw being a crap show. Like, I clearly remember that stuff, and it's just like, years later, I'm now, like, kinda cheering and rooting for him? What has the world come to?
See, that's my issue right there. Like, I never
Mhm.
really enjoyed those kinda segments that they did back then where they're just
Oh, I
making
didn't either.
people look like idiots, like it's some freaking Nickelodeon stuff, or they're, like, putting a whole bunch of slime on you and stuff. Like, yes, I get it, Roman's known as the big dog, doesn't mean you
Yeah.
gotta give him dog food. That's pretty childish, it's stupid, and I can only imagine how Roman felt in that situation right there. Like, just
Mhm.
looking at how Roman was portrayed back then and looking to where he's at right now is a huge ass difference. So I'm just happy we don't have to look at stuff like that. And it
Yeah.
honestly makes me think like, what's going through your head to like do stuff like that? I don't understand. It's so
Well, it's
weird.
Vince. It's Vince and
Yeah,
his
yeah.
it's his humor, you
I,
know?
yeah,
Oh.
I was talking to like Billy the other day at work, which is a
Mhm.
friend I reference a lot on the channel. And one of the things I didn't mention to him, it's like, Billy, do you realize like I didn't really notice back then, but now looking at it now, it's like all the signs were there between the stuff with Trish Stratus barking like a
Yep.
dog and all this other shit. It was like clear as day,
The
but I never really noticed it or paid attention at the time.
Yeah, I
But
mean, the Kiss My Ass Club, like, shit like that,
yeah,
like yeah,
yeah,
it's hard going back to those segments knowing what we do now, you know, with all the allegations and
yeah,
all that, like, you know, quick little tangent here with that, folks, but it's like, it's it's just it kinda opens your mind a little bit to, like, the environment that they're in now, and you kinda saw that too. There was an interview this week that Randy Orton did where he mentioned that it just so you guys know the change of demeanor backstage for WWE. Orton mentioned that if he went up to Vince and said, "Hey, I'm hurting a little bit. I need the week off to at least recuperate and all that." Vince would basically tell him, "Oh, it's fine. You'll be fine. You're good. Go out there. It'll be fine." Or I don't remember the exact words he said with it, but it was basically just brushing it off, saying, "Oh yeah, you'll fine. Go out there and hit more RKO's." Whereas today, now he can go up to Triple H and be like, "Hey man, yeah, I kind of hurting a little bit, kind of banged up a little bit. Mind if I take the week off?" And Triple H is just like, "Oh yeah, man, go ahead, go do that. Like, we want you for next week." Like that right there just tells you the mindset of WWE going forward. It's just we're here more for the safety of our stars rather than getting everybody out there all the time and all that stuff. So highly recommend that interview. I forgot where he did it, but the new segments do have them out and have that source for you guys. But back to Carmelo Hayes and Baron Corbin. Thought it was a good match. Carmelo Hayes going over, right decision there. Again, I like the quick roll up. It just feels more like a sport rather than, 'cause it's just like what you were saying, Drop. It's like we had people that sounded like or acted like that they were stupid or that they were dumb or all that. And you got that a lot with those surprise roll up wins. And like with here, like, yeah, it was surprising and all that. And Corbin was just still like, oh, what happened? But like, it's more of just the feel or like the energy about it. It's like, okay, Corbin's reacting because, oh crap, he actually got me. Not like, oh, I'm a dummy. He got me. Dirt. Like, it's like, it's hard to describe because it's just a feeling, just, it just feels better,
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so Carmelo Hayes goes over. Great, awesome. Thank you for stopping by, Barrett Corby. You did great. Our next
Right
match,
decision there.
yes, right decision there. And now our next match, and our next match has a little bit of a story behind it. Because Tama Tonga took on Angelo Dawkins. Now, this was supposed to be Bobby Lashley's spot, but apparently he got injured training this week
Yeah.
and had
Yeah,
to
I
be
heard.
pulled from the King of the Ring.
Yep, I heard about that. Hopefully, it's not something like what happened with Cody, where it's like a torn pec or anything like that. I'm hoping it's not like too
Man, I hope
serious.
not.
We don't really know the details on it yet, but I'm hoping it's not serious,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping he gets better soon.
Yeah. And I'm wondering now, because like, Tama Tonga won. I'm wondering if he was still, I mean, he probably was still gonna win with against Lashley just because of how this match ended up with all the interference going on and all that. But I kinda feel bad for Dawkins because I do want him to show out a little bit because I feel bad because he's kind of the Genetti of the group in a way, or at least he's
Mhm,
treated like the Genetti of the group. And it's
mhm.
like, he has improved. He is good in the ring, but like, next to Montez Ford, it's like, but Montez Ford's right there. But I was hoping he would show out just a little bit more tonight, just to kind of show more people what he's all about. But like, I mean, Bloodline's got a bloodline, but we did get some Bloodline storyline going forward tonight.
Yeah, because we actually saw more things with Solo like this, and this is coming from backstage
Mhm.
where they were all out there together, and Solo was confronting Heyman about what happened last week and how he hasn't spoken to Roman ever since then, and how Solo came out and says, "Oh, I've been speaking to the chief, and he says that everything is in his hands now. So now you're my wise man," pretty much just manipulating the whole entire situation, because obviously what Solo said to Heyman tonight is a whole bunch of bullshit. We obviously know he didn't talk to Roman, because
No.
if he talked to Roman, then why would Roman have him going out doing all of these kinds of things? Because he wouldn't. And looking at the mindset that Roman had before, he wouldn't want Solo having any kind of power where he's manipulating the system and doing whatever he wants. Roman would never allow anything like that. There's literally no
Mhm.
reason why Roman would allow anything like that happening. So it's just to add more layers to the story. We all know it's a whole bunch of bullshit. Solo never
Yeah.
talked to him. I mean, out of all people, especially the way that Solo looked at Roman, even especially after he lost the title to Cody at WrestleMania, why would Solo continue to follow somebody like this? We obviously know at the end of the day it's going to be revealed that this is a whole um, system being built with The Rock. The Rock's pretty much the one controlling everything behind the scenes, because Solo, when you first got introduced to him, he was, I believe it was said, he was like, he always like obeys his elders and everything like that or
Mhm.
whatever. Something along the lines of that. Don't remember the exact wording, but just looking at like how the bloodline story is structured right now, it's just leading to eventual bloodline versus bloodline 2.0 to see who comes out on top with that. But
Yeah.
I'm honestly like really curious to see exactly like what's gonna transpire once Roman comes back. That's my main interest in everything that's currently going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one thing that stuck in my mind with that whole stuff in the background, or not in the background, backstage with the bloodline. is Solo kept referring to the WWE title as their championship. Like, oh, Roman lost our title. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing here because the WWE title, the WWE champion, like not only led you guys, but he was the money maker. He was the one that got you guys the rooms, the limos, the jets, all that stuff. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me that he keeps referring to it as like our title
Mm-hmm.
rather than oh, Roman lost his title. Like,
Mm-hmm.
again, putting more pressure onto Roman and kind of making us want to cheer Roman more, which that's, oh my gosh, that's just another crazy thought. Like, we're getting we want Roman chants.
Yep.
Can we just let that sink in again? I think we had talked about that briefly one other time, but it still baffles me because it's the whole Baron Corbin thing I was just talking about. Like, I was there for the suffering succotash. I was there for the 5 minutes, 15 seconds with Sheamus. I was there for the Vince McMahon fight. I was there for the 30-minute Triple H main event. Like, and you were there too. Like, we were all there for that. Like,
Yep.
now we're in 2024 and the Roman experiment has finally worked, I guess, which is
At least under
cool.
at
Good.
least under Triple H's eyes, it's actually working. Like Vince's whole
Mhm.
plan back then was to make Roman the next top babyface, and it failed.
Yeah.
But now they can put everything into motion with that, and it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have a
But
proper mind behind that.
exactly.
Mm,
Just let a guy be a guy, just like Baron Corbin wants to be himself. Let Roman just kind of open up and all that, which he has done, and it's great. But like tying everything back to the bloodline and opening up too, like Solo's starting to talk more. He's starting to like be this physical leader and just man, the
Or
interference in this match though, like was crazy. Like, oh, Montez Ford, speaking of him, just leaping over the freaking corner of the ring, taking out the bloodline. Oh, crazy. It was some crazy stuff happening.
and I'll say this just to add this in here. And
Hmm.
I even mentioned it when we were talking about the show tonight in our own little chat. It's honestly hard for me to take Solo serious in this
Yeah.
role that he's in right now because I'm not used to him talking. I know he talked a lot more in NXT,
Hmm.
but I'm not used to him talking, and I'm not used to seeing him dressed up in suits and stuff like that. It's almost like he's in his own little cosplay or
Yep.
whatever. So it's just really hard to like take him serious in this new role that he's in right now. I do like
Yeah.
it. It's a nice way of them pushing Solo so he could get a proper push and he could have more eyes on him instead of just being that background character because throughout that
Hmm.
entire WrestleMania build he was just a background character. He didn't really feel important. But now
Right.
they're actually putting a lot of value on him now when it comes to this bloodline story. So I do like what they're doing with him with that, and I'm hoping it
Uh
pays off for him.
Jacko Robertson on YouTube asking how we're doing today. And man, I am doing well. Had some work today and got home and moved a bunch of stuff. I'm upstairs for the week. So, hey, that's going to be fun. But hopefully you're doing okay out there, Jacko, Mr. Robertson. Hopefully you enjoyed SmackDown too. Let us know down there in the chat. Um, yeah, Solo's on his little GTA run right now. He's gotten, new suit and all that. Kind of, he's in the middle of his GTA
That's essentially what it is,
campaign and
honestly,
all
yeah.
that. Yeah, like that because that's literally all I think about when I see him on screen now. Like, because I mean, he's got this gangster look and all that. Like, it looks good, but like, I'm just thinking to myself, man, you must love GTA, don't you? Because I don't know why I see that. I don't know why I envision that. It's just maybe I'll give my GTA character that same look. Who knows? We'll see.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, Tonga wins his match. The only thing I want to say after this, I need Def Rebel to be fired, rip up their contract, kick them to the curb. Because what in God's green earth was that song for Tamatonga? What
Yeah,
is that?
yeah, that's
Like,
another thing. That's another thing we gotta start focusing on. Like, yes, we're in the new era right now. They're making that pretty apparent because they bring that up so freaking much. So if you really want to enter a new era, give us some better entrance music because
like,
obviously
oh
you have these other people that been there for a while that have their own music. You don't have to change that. Like Voices has followed Randy for years.
yeah.
That's never gonna go away. And Cody even said himself, no matter where he goes, his song goes. That's his song.
Mm-hmm. The same with
But
Punk.
yeah, exactly. Same
Yeah.
with Punk as well. But when it comes to certain people where they have, like, this weird ass entrance music, like, I actually remember around the Royal Rumble season, I don't know if you guys saw clips of, like, Seth Rollins where he's just sitting at the bleachers eating popcorn, and he
Mm-hmm.
hears someone's entrance music goes off,
Yeah.
and he's,
He's
like,
just like,
and
huh?
he's confused, and he's like, "Who the
What?
fuck is this?" And then he sees, like, the name pop up on the Titantron's like, "Oh, okay. This is who it is." It's like, what is Def Rebel, man? Is it like some Mickey Mouse group or
Yeah.
whatever it is? Like this honestly sounds like some stuff I would watch on like Playhouse Disney when I was like a little
Yeah.
kid, like watching Mickey Mouse come out with like date with who is it? Goofy and Donald Duck and all of them doing that
Yeah.
silly little dance coming out of the clubhouse. It's like why are we having music like this? And like Vash just brought up with Randy, like Randy not getting his song. Well, I did they did s they did sing his song a little bit, but the
Yeah.
reason
It
why I
went. It
wanted to bring
went.
up
It went.
Randy
Mhm.
is I'm not sure if you heard about this, Watkins, or anybody else that happens to stumble across this, podcast, but did you guys hear that Randy was actually supposed to have a Death Rebel remix to his song, but he
I
turned it
did hear
down?
about that. I
Yeah,
heard about that. I'm like, oh no, no. Well, same with Punk. Punk was supposed to get
yeah,
one too. Like they
yep,
were gonna make a version of Cult of Personality, like some sort of like one you would hear that Robot Chicken would try to do in one of their sketches or something, like trying
mhm,
not to be like it's the song, but it's not the song. It's a different key or whatever BS you want to
yeah.
throw. But like, no, no, do not touch that thing. And I'm so glad that's in his contract. That like same with Cody. It's just like wherever I go, this song goes. So I hope you have the money for those
Yeah.
rights.
Yeah, because that was actually part of the deal to get Cody, because
Hmm.
when Vince flied to get Cody when he found out about him becoming a free agent, one of the things Cody did say is, "You're not getting me if I don't bring my song." And you obviously
Hmm.
know Cody's not gonna appear there for, like, the silly ass music playing when he comes out. Like, Kingdom has been his song for many, many years, and when I say many years, I mean many years. Like, even
Yeah.
before Cody got the neck tattoo and he
Oh,
started
yeah.
doing his indie promotion, stuff like that, that song has been with him for years. And you have all of these superstars that have, like, iconic theme songs, like Randy Orton, Edge. That's why, Metalingus, when it comes that's why you have his song going with him wherever he goes. And you got,
Mhm.
it's just those songs. I'll just name a few people. You got Randy Orton of Voices, John Cena, you got Cody Rhodes, you have Rey Mysterio's song. It's just those songs that fit their characters so well. It doesn't really make
Yeah.
sense to just scrap that and just put some stupid remix. Like, obviously we know, because I believe we spoke about it on the channel as well, that they're aware of how people feel about Def Rebel. So I'm
Oh, yeah.
hoping, and I'm not trying to prey on someone's downfall, but for the sake of the business, in order to move it forward, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices, and one of those
Mhm.
sacrifices has to be to get rid of Def Rebel and to get better music on here, because it's been very apparent. It's not just by 2 or 3 people or 20 people online. It's been very apparent by the whole entire community that these Def Rebel songs aren't really it.
Nope, not at all. So,
That's
if we're gonna continue having Tamatanga go through this tournament,
yeah.
get rid of Def Rebel. Get him a new theme, because I cannot listen to that again. I can't do I might have to mute my TV next time he comes on if he still has that music.
Dude, that's
Like,
why I'm happy
oh,
that when these people came up from NXT, they actually kept their theme song. Like, I thought Lyra was gonna have some silly songs, she kept her song.
mhm,
I thought Dragunov was gonna have a different song, he kept his song. We don't really know about Blair or
yeah,
Kiana James yet because they haven't officially debuted on Raw or SmackDown yet. But, I do know for Tiffany, and I will say this, I actually do like Tiffany's new theme song. I actually don't mind
mhm,
it. I like the whole "it's Tiffy time," and then she comes out there, you have, like, that little rapping in there, I don't really mind it, and I know
yeah,
she even said herself that she personally requested to change it, which is perfectly fine because if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do. So
yeah,
I don't mind that because I guess what I will say is when it comes to Def Rebel, there is a few songs that they do that do hit, but it's extremely rare. Like you want to talk about Roman Reigns' theme song that hits. It's
mhm,
iconic. It's what made Roman Reigns who he is today because you had that background music. And one of
yeah,
the things you got to keep in mind when it comes to entrance music, not background music, is that entrance music also represents the wrestler as well. It pretty much tells you who they are. And that's always an important thing to add to wrestlers, giving them proper entrance music so you know who they are and how they're being structured and everything like that.
well, it's also, Sydney, why'd you grab a squeaky toy? Now everybody's gonna hear it squeaky. Um, well, it's also part of, like, marketability, like,
Yep. Yeah, that too.
you see Randy Orton's, it's just like, "I hear voices in my head." It's just like, "Oh, that's Randy Orton." I could go up to somebody and be like, "Your time is up, my time is down." They'll be like, "You can't see me," and be like, "Oh, that's John Cena." It's just like, "Yeah, you know." Or hell, even Triple H's. You hear that guitar riff, all you need to do is hear the guitar riff and be like, "Oh, Triple H is coming out. Hell yeah, let's go. Let's do this." But like, that's why at the beginning of these songs, and we'll move on from this topic here in just a
Yeah.
moment, folks. But like, it's like that's why at the beginning of these songs, you always have those things like, "Oh, it's Tiffy time," or "You don't want none." Like, you always have those things in the beginning, and you always have like just their name on the Titantron. It's like, "Oh, that's who that is. Great. Okay,
Yeah.
now I know who it's coming out."
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice that they do with these things. There's always a little thing in the beginning so you know who they are.
Yeah.
And another thing I was gonna say is I was just listening to Tonga's song again
Mhm.
when you were talking for a little bit. Is now that I'm thinking about it, it almost sounds like some Donkey Kong Jungle Beat shit.
It does! And I'm like, I'm not trying to play a video game right now. I'll play WWE 2K after this. Maybe, I might do a couple matches. Who knows? But no, no, I'm trying to watch this badass do his thing, and you're making me want to play Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
No, no, I don't want that. I don't want that in my
It's either
wrestling.
that or some Naruto OST or something.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know.
Oh man. But moving from one bad entrance song to at least one good one, and then there's AJ's. But hey, he at least wanted to change. So same with Tiffany. I get it. I understand it. But our main event was Randy Orton and AJ Styles, which this was. I'd have to go back, but this might be one of their better matches that they've had
Mhm.
because this was really good. Because again, like this felt more like a wrestling match, and you may hear me say that and be like, "Oh, well, Watkins, of course, it's a wrestling match. You're watching wrestling." But it's like there was a moment here where AJ was trying to get the calf crusher in, and like and it's really weird coming. I've just been having like a weird night with like interpreting people again, or like reinterpreting characters and how they used to be, because it's like Orton, I would always see is like it's that the slow methodical pace. I'm gonna just beat you down with like a few suplexes here and there, and vintage Orton RKO stuff like that. But like you actually kind of saw Orton like actually trying to maneuver himself a little bit more. Like so the spot I was trying to talk about was like AJ trying to get the calf crusher in, and like AJ's trying to like AJ Orton's like actually trying to like like wrestle him out or like try to uh get like a good
Yeah,
vantage on him, and he ends up
pretty
getting
much.
like a rear naked choke on him, and it's like wrestling in my wrestling. Nani, what?
Yeah, they're
I
pretty
love
much
this
telling
shit.
and I like how they were telling a story in the ring with
Hmm.
Randy's ankle as well, where AJ kept trying to go after it so he can like
Hmm.
weaken him so he's not able to pull off those usual stunts that he does.
Yeah, but man, this was an excellent main event. I don't know about you, but this was good.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot.
Hmm. And we did have some before the match promos from everybody. We had AJ, you know, again, like we were saying earlier, he was vowing to earn his way back and defeat Cody. So kind of more of like a tweener kind of side that we're seeing from AJ, at least with this. More on the aggressive heel side, obviously, but he at least was saying, "Hey, I'm actually going to earn my way to beat up Cody again." And then, of course, Randy mentioning he's never been King of the Ring. So there's a little seed plan, a little story for the King of the Ring tournament, at least on the SmackDown side. And I love how he said, you know, he feels phenomenal when he hits the RKO out of nowhere on AJ. So I like that a little bit because we usually get like the phenomenal forearm RKO counter whenever they fight. Uh, but yeah, so basically, yeah, our story with Orton is, hey, I've never won King of the Ring. I want to win it to solidify that legacy and all that. So I know you're a big front runner for Randy Orton winning the whole thing, or at least being in the
Yes.
finals.
Yes, because
Yeah.
the way that I see these being structured is if we're going
Hmm.
over the tournament right now. So I have a feeling. So we was talking about Raw first.
Yeah.
More than likely, Kofi's going to win that match because on Monday
Hmm.
they were telling a story of what happened with Xavier Woods. So that's going to be playing into Gunther and Kofi's match, and Gunther's going to end up going over there.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to Dragunov and Jay, I know I've talked to people at work about this as well. Like I talked to my friend Billy about it and Jason. And my friend Jason's like, well, Jay's like really over right now. You really think they're gonna have him lose to somebody like Dragunov? And
Hmm.
the way I'm looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't really make sense for Jay to really beat Dragunov. Like, what does that do to benefit him at
Yeah.
all? Like, why do you want to see Gunther and Jay again? We literally just saw Gunther and Jay not that long ago, and Jay just had a world championship match. Why do you want to put him
Hmm.
in another scenario where he could potentially get another shot like that again? Not saying that I have anything against Jay, but just looking at how everything's structured, because the way I look at wrestling, like I look at it as a fan and I also look at it as a content creator.
Hmm.
And because when me, Vash, and Watkins go on here, we have a different look at the product. Like, do we enjoy it as a fan? Yes. But at the same time, we also look at it from a creative standpoint of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So with Dragunov going up against Jay, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because of what I said. And also, like
Hmm.
you saw with last week, when it comes to Drew McIntyre. You never know if Drew McIntyre might factor into that again
See,
because
that's where
Jay's the
my mind
reason.
is.
Yeah, because Jay's the reason why he's in his spot right now because Drew
Hmm.
had to pull out because he wasn't medically cleared to be in that match. So more than likely, I'm still putting my money on it because I can't really see Jay in beating somebody like Dragunov,
Hmm.
but I see Dragunov going through in this match, and then you have Gunther and Ilya, which is honestly surprised
Yeah.
that we're getting that so early. More than likely, we are getting that, but at least right there, when it comes to the semifinals of the tournament, at least that
Hmm.
shows you right there with those two people how important the King of the Ring is. Like, if you
Yeah.
want to give a good example and show how important this tournament is, have Gunther and Dragunov put on a match, and you'll know right there.
Yep.
Makes
Yep.
perfect sense. And then going to the men's side, you got Orton and Hayes. We already know that we already know that Melo's gonna go on top rope to hit his finisher, and then we're gonna get one of those iconic RKO's on Carmelo Hayes. And so I mainly would just have Randy go over just because
Hmm.
Tonga is in the tournament, and Randy already brought up earlier in the show that he's upset because of what they did to Kevin Owens, and that's why he's not here right now. So you obviously know you're gonna get that match between Orton and Tonga, and then Orton's gonna beat Tonga, and then it's gonna be Gunther and Orton at King and Queen of the Ring. And then you're more than likely gonna have Gunther go over, because if Randy loses the
Yeah.
match, nothing bad's gonna happen to him. He'll be perfectly fine. But that's honestly how I see everything being played out.
Yeah, and I mean, you were describing, all the stories that are going on. I'm pretty much in agreement with you. Like, I wasn't at first, I wasn't really fully on board with Orton. At least making it, even winning against AJ. I thought there's gonna be just a little bit more interference because he had mentioned the bloodline before, but like then like as the night continued on, and the more I thought about it, I was thinking to myself, okay, wait, this would make a little bit more sense now with them facing each other in the finals. Him and Tonga, I mean, facing each
Mhm.
other in the finals of at least the SmackDown finals. So, yeah, give me that. And then, the Raw side again, we had talked about the whole story of Kofi going forward. That makes sense. Dragunov and Jay, with Drew interfering, it also makes sense. Hell, that could also, if Drew's fine enough by King and Queen in the ring, because I don't know how severe his injury is, but if it's fine by that time, I mean, there's your other match right there for that pay-per-view event. And then, like you were saying, if you want people to see how much King of the Ring means to people, give us Ilya and Gunther. And even though we're getting that so soon, so early, I would prefer with Ilya and Gunther. I feel like their story and their rivalry will always come with them fighting. It's not like making the fans want and yearn for that fight. It's the fact that they are going to fight. They are going to be like two walls for each other, two men that are going to be pushing each other and giving each other the best that each one can be, and like truly leveling up the other. It's a good Goku Vegeta rivalry, if I can just be as bold to say that. Like, it's two guys that are going to bring out the best of each other, but in like the most physical and gruesome way. Um so yeah,
Yeah.
and Gunther and Orton in the finals, I'm fine with that. That'll be cool. That'll be neat. I'm sure
Mm.
Gunther would destroy Orton and take his rightful place as the king. So you know what? I'm all for it. I think my other choice would be Carmelo Hayes versus Gunther, just because I would like to see Melo do a little bit more, but we'll wait and see with whatever storylines end up playing out moving forward.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, but I mean that's basically our men's bracket. I mean, again, right now we got Gunther facing off either against Kofi and or Rey Mysterio on Monday. We got Dragunov and Jay facing each other on Monday, and then next week on SmackDown we're gonna have Orton versus Carmelo Hayes, and then we're gonna have Tama Tonga taking on either LA Knight or Santos Escobar. So we'll find out the winners of two of those matches this weekend at some point, and we'll have a better bracket for when Monday comes around. Now, on from one king of the ring to a queen of the ring, because we had the SmackDown side of our Queen of the Ring tournaments. And these matches were really good, especially one in particular, at least for me, because I have been popping so hard because I've been, and I think I've said it on here before too. Um, Actually, no, I'm not gonna get on that yet. I'm not. We're gonna save that for a little bit. Let's start with one match that is not taking place on SmackDown, which is Machine versus Tiffany Stratton, which is happening at a house show. Um,
I'm
I don't know
predicting
about you.
Tiffany for that.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against Mitchin, but she's kind of doing some other things right now with NXT.
Yeah, so I'm saying it doesn't really see that's another thing. Like one of my personal gripes when it comes to the women's tournament is I kind of feel like there could have been more people on here. Like I'll touch on it a little bit later, but it's like you have a lot of people that you could utilize in the roster that you could replace people like this. Like with Michin, for example, is it cool that she's a part of the tournament? Sure,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she's currently on a quest to get the North American Championship for the ladies on NXT. So, going off of that current storyline that she has right now, does it really make sense for her to be part of this tournament right now? No.
Yeah.
You could have easily
Exactly.
put Blair Davenport in something like this, for example.
Yeah.
Showcase an upcoming superstar. I mean, Lyra is one of the newest girls on Raw. You have her being showcased in this match. Why can't you
Hmm.
add Blair?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, oh, it's kind of similar to, I don't know if you saw this tweet going around. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, but apparently there was a fake bracket that came out from the women's side,
Oh yeah, I
and
saw
it
that.
yeah, I felt bad because I legitimately thought that was the bracket, and then I think it was yesterday where the actual bracket came out for the SmackDown side, and like, oh no, this is completely different because this one has Bianca and Jade in it. Oh,
S-
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I do want to touch on that though.
Oh yeah.
S- So, what I will say about Jade tonight is that I personally think tonight is probably the best Jade has looked when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
just a typical one-on-one match because she looked really good. And like you mentioned in the notes, she did a blue thunder bomb, which was really cool to see.
Dude, that blue thunder bomb came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that. Like,
So
oh, she pulled
so I'm
that out.
so I'm happy to see her adjust to the main roster, especially after coming up more instead of just getting those one-off appearances like we got earlier in the year. But it's nice to see that she's improving, and I wish the best for her.
Hmm.
My only gripe when it comes to Jade and Bianca being a part of this tournament is that they are both women's tag team champions. And one of the
Yeah.
things that people bring up whenever it comes to a champion is supposed to be booked to look strong. You're not going to be seeing Cody getting any losses as if he has a one-on-one match against somebody 1 week and still hold the title. You're not going to see that with Becky. You're not going to see that with Sami Zayn. You're not going to see you are going to see that with Logan Paul in just a few weeks, but Logan Paul is an exception. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's invincible. Nothing's going to really affect him like that. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is like why would you have Jade and Bianca a part of this tournament? I understand star
Hmm.
power. That's always a thing that WWE is going to do. But it doesn't really make sense to have Jade and Bianca a part of this tournament because if let's say if Tiffany beats Mia Yim, which more than likely she will, and then hypothetically you have Bianca beat Tiffany and then Jade beats Naya, then you're going to have Jade and Bianca going one on one with one
Yeah.
another, and then whoever comes up on top in that match is going to be in the finals against whoever wins the Raw's tournament when it comes to the ladies. So why would you want to give a match like that away so soon? Because they're obviously
Yeah.
telling a story with the both of them. That's why they have the tag titles. And I'm just going to say this those tag titles are not going to be off of those girls for a very long time. So expect them to
No.
have probably the lengthiest length that this title has ever had, but
Hmm.
the only way that these two are gonna break up is because of something that goes on between the both of them, and that's
Yeah.
why they end up losing the titles because either Jade's gonna turn on Bianca or Bianca's gonna turn on Jade. Either one of those is gonna happen. They're obviously telling a story with that. But I just feel like you could have given like other girls like an opportunity. Like let me open up the
Hmm.
women's roster right now
Oh
when
yeah.
it
Go
comes
ahead.
to SmackDown. So which is so let's see right here. Let's go right here. SmackDown. All right, so you have some girls on here from SmackDown. Let's see. You could have easily put Blair Davenport in this. You could have
Mhm.
showcased one of your upcoming superstars from NXT that you just brought up. You could have put Chelsea Green in this. You could have put Elektra Lopez in this. You could have put Indy Hartwell in this. You could have put let's see who else is there. You could have put Tegan Knox in this. There's other options where you could have put other people in this tournament besides Bianca and Jade. It just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
And even if
It
you're
just
gonna put
feels like a randomizer where it almost feels
Mhm.
like you're just putting a whole bunch of names there and you're clicking the generate button and this is what you get. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, okay, we have this match with Jade and Piper, which first of all, y'all want to know why I want Piper to be pushed. Example A tonight. Just gonna throw that out there, But anyways, like first of all, look at who Jade has to face on her side of the bracket. Like next week, she has to face off against Nia Jax. So it's like, okay, she's faced Piper, beat her, beat that powerhouse. Now she has to face another powerhouse, and then like you think the story now is going to be like Jade has to continue beating these powerhouses because then when you look at the bottom of the bracket, you have Bianca who is basically the powerhouse there, and it's like, okay, first of all, you're booking both of these powerhouses, booking your women's tag team champions in this tournament. First
You
of
don't see
all,
Bailey in this.
yeah, you don't see Bailey in this,
You don't see Becky.
but like with especially with Jade, I mean,
Mhm.
Jade really shouldn't be in the tournament, and it's not because like she shouldn't be having singles matches or anything, but like she shouldn't be losing something right now, even if it
Mhm.
ends up being like by DQ or by count out. I For a tournament like this, I personally I would not want a result like that, you know, just because I feel like that kind of cheapens the win or the tournament a little bit. Like it's one thing for like the interference that we had for bloodline stuff and all that because that's freaking bloodline. But I don't know, man. It's just how if Jade and Bianca don't like Bianca can eat a loss. Like if she loses, and hopefully she does lose to Tiffany Stratton, uh, I could believe Bianca losing. I don't want to believe Jade losing quite yet.
See, that's why I'm having this big issue with both of them being in this tournament. It just doesn't make
Hmm.
sense to have all the cards laid out right now. Like you just won the women's tag titles. Try to build up that division. Try making those titles mean something.
Yeah.
Because if you want to give an opportunity for these tag titles so they actually mean something so people care about them, even though I feel like they should just go away with them because the titles pretty much don't mean anything to begin with because it just lost that
Hmm.
flavor with them. Nobody really gives a shit about those titles. I'm just being completely honest.
Yeah.
But you just focus on building that tag division. You have people
Hmm.
up there now. You got Piper, you got Piper and Chelsea Green. They could be some contenders for those tag titles. You could try
Hmm.
building that up. You can try going to Raw because you have the opportunity to go to brand with those titles. You could try going up against some of the divisions over there. Focus on your division. Focus on building that tag team division when it comes to the women. Try
Hmm.
doing something like this because if I'm gonna be honest, just looking at how I can see this tournament being played out. So we have Shayna Baszler and Selena Vega. I can see Selena Vega beating Shayna
Hmm.
Baszler, and then you would have Selena Vega versus Io Sky. I can see Io beating Zelina, and then you got Lyra versus Zoe Stark. I can see Lyra beating Zoe Stark, and then you would have Lyra versus Io Sky. I can see Lyra beating
Give it
Io
to me.
Sky. I can see Lyra beating Io Sky only because I don't want to see Io versus Bianca or Io versus Jade again. We're all said
Hmm.
and done. We're all done with that damage control feud. We don't need to see it anymore. We're done.
Yeah.
That's why they're on different divisions. We don't need to see it anymore. So I can very well see Lyra being in the finals of that tournament when it comes to the Raw side. That's why I've been very apparent when it comes to how this tournament is being played out, just because just judging on how current storylines are going on right now, just looking at
Mhm.
who makes the most sense to progress in each round, I
Yeah.
can see Lyra definitely taking the dub when it comes to the finals with the Raw division.
Mhm.
And then when it comes to the woman, you got Nia versus Jade. That could honestly go either way, but they're going to want to pull a stunt where Jade does the jaded on Nia and pins her, like just like how she did with Piper Niven.
Yeah.
And they want to book her strong because obviously she is one half of the women's tag team champions. So obviously they're going to have her go over in that match. And then when it comes to Mia and Tiffany's match, obviously Tiffany's going to go over that because it doesn't really make sense for Tiffany to lose a match like that, especially against somebody like Mia Yim. Not saying that she's bad or
Mhm.
anything, but just based on how she's being booked right now, doesn't really make sense for Tiffany to really lose to somebody like that. And then you got
Yeah.
Tiffany versus Bianca Belair, and this is where when we run into problems because when it comes to Bianca, she's one of the other half of the women's tag team champions, and she can't afford a loss because she's a champion. You want to book her strong. That's why they should have never been in the tournament to begin with. But
Yeah.
I would realistically have Tiffany go over in that match because, for one, that would make Tiffany look very strong because she managed to beat one of the best women within the division right now. And that
Mhm.
just shows you that, yeah, Tiffany Stratton's going to be somebody that you're going to be seeing for years to come. So don't forget
Yeah.
about this name. And then it would come down to Jade versus Tiffany. And I really don't want to see Jade in a situation where she goes up against Tiffany, she wins, and then it's just her and Lyra at the finals because
Mhm.
I know I might sound hypocritical when I say this because I'm being very I'm being like very vocal about how much I love Lyra and how I want to see good things from her, which obviously I do. But I just feel like with Lyra's case, it makes sense because you want to use this tournament to build stars. Lyra doesn't really have anything going for her at the moment, and this tournament is helping people know who she is so she can come out as a star, regardless if she
Mhm.
wins or loses this tournament. But I feel like it makes the most sense if you would have Tiffany beat Jade, and then you would have Lyra versus Tiffany at the King of the Ring, and it could go either way there. But I feel
Yeah.
like they might give Lyra the Queen of the Ring
Yeah, I
just
mean,
because they might
oh
save
god, that
Tiffany
would
for Money in the Bank.
yeah, and even okay, I know we talked about, not liking having the king or queen of the ring become their gimmick, but it doesn't have to necessarily become Lyra's gimmick, but have her like add a crown to her entrance.
Yeah,
That
and
would
like
that would kind of look sick, you know?
and
Like
one
she
of the
doesn't have
things
to yeah.
and one of the things I would like out of it is that right there shows you that they're trying to build a star,
Yeah.
somebody that has nothing going on for them. They don't.
Mhm.
Lyra doesn't have a title over her shoulder. She isn't in like a big time feud. Like she's not going up against like a Rhea Ripley or a Becky Lynch or a
Mhm.
Bailey or whoever it is, like one of the top girls in the division. She has nothing going for her. This tournament is meant to create upcoming stars.
Yeah.
So after this tournament, even if Lyra potentially loses, it'll show you right there, like, damn, this girl has potential. They
Yeah. And
really threw her in this thing because they have faith in her and they can see her going the extra mile and doing many things for the company because of how far they pushed her within this tournament.
and I think the biggest thing with these tournaments is we're also getting a chance, like it's not only just to showcase, maybe one or two like new talents or whatever, but like we're getting a chance to like showcase some of our like not lesser known talent, maybe our talent that don't get a lot of shine. So for
Yeah.
example, like kind of going back now to like Jade versus Piper Niven now. I mean, we got to see Piper Niven do a little bit more action than she normally does. Like
Yeah.
She stopped the Stinger Splash for a bit. She actually had some good offense against Jade, doing some sentons and all that, doing some good moves towards Jade and even selling pretty damn well with some of Jade's moves, like the bicycle kick and especially the that Jaded at the end. But like we're starting to get, we're starting to get to see these stars that don't get a lot of time to shine get some of that time to shine. Now unfortunately for some people like Candice LeRae, I mean, she didn't really get too much time to shine. It was just more of, hey, we're baddies now, and he's gonna work that leg a little bit because cheating. But like, we're still getting a little bit more with some of these people. Like another good example from Raw. Ivy Nile and Zoe Stark, like they actually got some time on Raw to put on a match. It wasn't like some quick uh, how to do or whatever. And plus, I mean, I didn't really know who was gonna go over at that point. I was just kind of 50-50 with it. But like, I don't know. Again, it's just you're showcasing your talent that aren't doing much of anything right now and just kind of getting more heat behind them, making the crowd maybe care a little bit more about them,
Yeah.
especially with like people like Ivy Nile who are like they kind of have a story going on, but not really. And kind of the same with Zoe. It's just like, Zoe Stark's just kind of I don't want to say floundering. She's just kind of she's directionless. Like you guys want to say Cody's directionless. People like Zoe Stark are directionless. Like she doesn't really have much going ever since Trish Stratus left. Like what sucks because she's decent in the ring, but more time for these people just on camera and in front of these crowds can only benefit them and your product in the long run. So I'm glad like
Exactly.
yeah. So I'm glad Piper got some time with Jade. And plus, this was Jade's first singles match. So
Yep.
I think for her first singles match, she did fine. I mean, obviously there are some nitpicks here and there with I know in our messages you had mentioned like her selling a little bit, which I kind of see where you were going with that. But yeah, also like what you said, like she can only go up from here, which if this is the level that she's at with singles competition, I'm all for it,
Hmm.
because again, she can just improve from there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
It just feels weird just having her and Bianca in this because neither
Mhm.
one of them can afford a loss.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird seeing both of them in this tournament because it just feels like they're out of place.
Yeah. And kind of like what I said earlier, like the only one I could see eating a loss is Bianca out of the two.
Yeah,
And
'cause she's
that's
the
really
only
just
one.
yeah, and that's really because she's been there longer, so it's just like she doesn't lose that often, so it's just like, okay, if she ate a loss, I mean, that's big for the person who beat her, but she can recover easily from that. All right, well, I mean, Jade and Piper were a match. We had Naomi versus Nia Jax, which that was a good match too. We had I one thing I liked that was said on commentary. I believe it was Wade Barrett said this. He had mentioned that Naomi was doing a lot of hit and run tactics, which I always like that term when it's like this kind of David versus Goliath fight, where it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm gonna use my speed, hit a quick move, and then just get out of there. Like kind of like you're fighting like an Elden Ring boss or something. Like, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of damage and then just kind of back away and play defensively. And Naomi kind of did this a lot in the match, but I mean, not Nia's just too strong. But Nia, Nia impressed me tonight. She really impressed me tonight with some of her selling.
Yeah, she's been doing very good ever since she came back, so I give her
Hmm.
a lot of credit.
Yeah, I mean, I still have an agenda to push because fuck Nia Jackson and all that, but I'll give credit where credit's due. She's been really improving, and I mean, I put in the notes too that second rope Hurricane Rana spot was was pretty dang good. Like again, you don't see Nia doing bumps like that too often.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, but I don't know what do you think of this match?
I thought it was a very good match that we got
Hmm.
between Naomi and Nia Jax. It was a good way to start off the women's tournament for tonight, showcasing what Naomi's capable of, showing more improvement from Nia's end ever since she came back, like I just went over, and
Hmm.
having those spots where Naomi hit the Hurricanrana, seeing a lot of spots just overall that stood out that people were like, "Holy shit!" Like that just happened.
Yeah.
And Nia made the most sense to honestly, come out on top with this because, like I went over before, there is current stories when it comes to these people that are currently a part of the tournament right now. Like I mentioned earlier with Randy and Tonga, Jade's
Hmm.
another one when it comes to her and Nia because you have a story there where during the Royal Rumble, Jade eliminated Nia Jax all by herself. So you could have a story build off of that within that match, which more than likely they're going to bring up. So that makes
Oh
sense to have
yeah.
both of them team up with one another. And then, of course, ever since Tiffany's not confirmed to win yet, but more than likely she was. But you have a story between Tiffany and Bianca right there because Tiffany wants to be the top star of the women's division on SmackDown, and
Hmm.
she's gone up to Bianca before and told her that she's here to claim her throne and do whatever she wants. So you already have a story building off of that. So it
Yeah.
makes sense with how they're structuring the winners of this tournament when it comes to like each round.
Yeah. And yeah, again, great match there. And I'm kind of sad with this Bianca Candice match because Candice kind of walked in and it's just like, oh no, you're getting fed to Bianca. Oh, that's sad. And I mean, they tried to do something with it, with Indy attacking Bianca's leg and all that, cheating and all that. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, I know the outcome. Let's just get to it.
Yep.
And what sucks because I know Candace is good. It's just she was just put in a position where it's just like, all right, well, let's just put her in here and have a match. And hopefully these next rounds, at least with the SmackDown women's side, hopefully they get like a little bit more time to like just kind of feast on their matches a little bit. And kind of on the Raw side too. Like I'm hoping like Lyra and Zoe and then Io and I'm thinking Shayna's gonna go over, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say Shayna. Um, so hopefully they all get their time to shine and do all their stuff. And as for like the finals for everything, I'm kind of in a similar boat where I would love to see it be Lyra and Tiffany Stratton. I know there's a bit of history between the two from NXT,
Hmm.
and I think those two would put on a really good match. And I think it. I think either way, Lyra's going to be in the finals.
Hmm.
It's really just like who's going to be in there on the SmackDown side because it's like, okay, are we going to have Nia get over Jade somehow? Is
Yeah,
Bianca going to get over? Like, what's going to happen on the SmackDown side of things?
yeah, and it's like the thing is, and it's like another reason why, like they haven't really made it 100% clear yet of what you get besides becoming
Hmm.
the king or queen. But Gunther alluded to it before when he entered the King of the Ring for the first time. He was like, "Oh, if I win this, I could challenge whatever championship I want. I can go after the Intercontinental Champion, or I can go after the World Title." And this has also been a thing in the past when it comes to the King of the Ring. Whenever you win this tournament, you get an automatic title shot of your choosing whenever you want. It's almost like
Yeah.
winning the Royal Rumble. So when it comes to Jade and Bianca, they don't really need a title shot for a world title when they just won the women's
Yeah.
tag championships. That's why it makes no sense to have them a part of this tournament to begin with. And I don't want it
Hmm.
to sound like I'm being very harsh and I'm trying to shit all over them and stuff like that.
No.
That's not the case. It's just from a because I can look at things from a fan's perspective and I can look at things from a booking perspective. It just doesn't make sense because they already have titles of their own that they needed to defend, that they need to feel important. So adding Jade and Bianca on here and having either one of them potentially win and get a title shot for either Bailey or Becky's title makes,
Hmm.
well, more than likely Bailey's title, makes no sense at all
Yeah.
because they don't need to be carrying around 3 championships within their group. That makes no
Hmm.
sense at all. And that's why it's like so the only reason why the only reason why I said earlier it's so easy to see Lyra being in the finals is because you don't really want to do Jade or Bianca against Damage Control again.
No,
Because
you
whoever
don't.
you put up against EO in that bracket, EO's going to come out on top. EO's not going to lose against Selena Vega. She's not going to lose against Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this draft to begin with was to separate the roster and to have fresh feuds come out of it. We don't want to see EO versus Jade Cargill for the Queen of the Ring or EO versus Bianca Belair for the Queen of the Ring. We don't want to see that.
No.
That's why it's just so easy to eliminate EO because we've seen this feud between Jade and them before. And I would love for this to be a star-making performance for Tiffany Stratton because the whole reason why I've been very vocal about it is because I'm all for the new generation. I want to see the new generation thrive. We're obviously always going to have people like Randy and a couple others like Becky still having those moments.
Yeah.
But if you want to start building up the women's division when Bianca's gone and Becky's gone and Bailey's gone and Charlotte's
Hmm.
gone and Nia's gone, this is a good way to do it. Have Lyra and Tiffany in the finals. That's your upcoming stars. Showcase what both of them are made of and just let them go and have fun. That's just
Yeah.
honestly the best way to do it. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just a good way of building up the future of your division.
Well, that's like the most important thing about like creating brackets like this and creating a tournament such as King and Queen of the Ring is you want to have a good balance between like established established stars and like not only that but like stars that have big star power. So again, we had Randy Orton and AJ Styles in the first round of this tournament. I mean, to mention another world tournament, even though we didn't really technically get the fight in the world tournament, but when Goku came back during the Buu saga, one of the first matches in that tournament was going to be Goku versus Vegeta in the first round of that world tournament.
Mhm.
Like that's on the level of what that AJ Randy Orton match was. Like at least like in its placement in the bracket. It's like you have two former champions, two former multi-time world champions in the first round of this tournament, you know. And then you have like new stars like Carmelo Hayes. We have returning people like Baron Corbin coming back and like showing what they got to do. And like that, and that's the most important thing is just finding that balance between showcasing your new people and adding that layer of legitimacy to your tournament. And I think part of that, at least on the men's side, again, give us that Gunther Ilya Dragunov match, and you will see legitimacy for a tournament. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, because
And just
that's
look, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna chime in and just say that's what makes it feel important. You have
Hmm.
two great pro wrestlers like that beating the absolute shit out of each other, which
Yeah.
you know WWE's foaming out of the mouth to have that match.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can only imagine what kind of tricks that these two are going to pull once they're in the ring with one another. There's so much history between Gunther and Ilya. It's not even crazy. And they had numerous matches with each other, and they're pretty
Yeah.
much cut from the same cloth. So they have the exact same fighting style. So you're going to see welts on both of their bodies. And this
Hmm.
is going to be a star making performance for the both of them. And Ilya just came on the main roster and
Yeah.
having him going up against a monster. Like this is pretty much a David versus what is it? David versus Goliath? Is that what they call it?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much a David versus Goliath battle. You got David as Ilya, you got Goliath as Gunther, and you have both of them just tear each other apart like wild animals, and you're just gonna see like how great these two are. And that makes the tournament feel important because they're fighting because they want that crown.
Yeah. But hey, we have some great tournament matches. We had
Hmm.
some great tournaments. I I'm really enjoying my time with the King and Queen in the Ring this year. I think we're getting some quality matches. We're getting some good storytelling too throughout the tournament. Because again, like I said at the beginning of this stream, I am a sucker for a tournament arc. I'm a
Hmm.
sucker for a good tournament arc, and like just my past with tournaments and all that. Like I love following the stories that are just going through with each and every person. But I mean, overall with SmackDown, I thought this was a really good show. Again, we had the Cody stuff at the beginning with Nick Aldis and Logan Paul. We had, obviously our matches for the King of the Ring. We had a couple vignettes too. I know we didn't mention, like, we had
Oh
one
yeah,
for Shinsuke Nakamura, just kind of hyping him up again. It's sounding like
Blair.
he's. Oh yeah, we had one for Blair Davenport, which I thought was really good. Like it just told everybody just who the hell she is. And but how do you feel about the Blair Davenport video package?
I'm happy that they're
Hmm.
showcasing one of their upcoming superstars to the females division, to the women's division.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to do that is through video packages. So I'm happy they did do that instead of just sending her out there like that.
Hmm.
It's nice because it gives people the opportunity to know who she is.
Yeah, and I know I'm gonna probably sound like a broken record because we've mentioned this countless, many times on the podcast, but this this vignette for Blair Davenport made me really, really want that mid card women's title on the main roster because I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, like your character and the way you talked right there made me want you to be a mid card champion. Like to start off with at first, because like I can see that. I can see a championship quality with a character of Blair's. So I'm excited when she finally gets on there, and I wish she was part of the tournament, but maybe next time around she can be part of it. Oh man. But how'd you feel about SmackDown overall tonight?
I thought it was a good show. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
I'm happy that the main focus of the episode today was just the tournament itself, so it was easy for me and you to go through. It's not like there was a whole bunch of things to
Yeah.
jump to. Like there's actual matches on here that mean something because it gives you a reason. If you win this match, you get to progress in the next round, so you have a chance to get to the
Hmm.
finals to win the whole thing. So I'm happy with how the show was paced. So that's probably like one of the best things overall about the episode today was just the pacing was on track because
Oh yeah.
you noticed throughout like each match after it concluded, it moved on to the next one. And then
Hmm.
after Bianca's match, it moved on to the main event. So they
Yeah.
have a proper structure, they have a routine that they're following, which is really good. So I applaud them
Hmm.
for that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, thought SmackDown was really good, in agreement with Drop with like the pacing, because it always surprised me every week with SmackDown when we get to the main event, because just start and I'll be like, oh, we're already here. Wait, it's already 9:30. What? Okay, all right. Well, let's go. Let's do this, because I'm not. And even this kind of happens with Raw too. Whenever it gets to like that 9:30, 10 o'clock mark, I'm like, oh, we're already here. Wow, time flew by. Like I'm engaged in the product. I'm enjoying what I'm watching, and everything just it feels right. It feels natural, even with like maybe some of the nitpicks and all that. But like I don't know. I've been really enjoying myself lately with the WWE product. But as much as we like to say we liked it and all that, I know Drop is a little along for the ride with me on this one, that we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the chat right now. What you guys think of SmackDown? Tell us your thoughts. But if you're not in the chat, you're watching the VOD of this on YouTube. Hey, let us know in the comments as well, because we'll be checking them. We'll be trying to interact with you guys, talk to you guys, start up a conversation and all that. But I think that's about gonna do it for us tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty much
Yeah.
the show for you guys today.
Yeah, so da da
Pretty
da da
easy to
da
go
da.
through.
Yeah, man. Again, I love
Honestly,
tournaments. I love tournaments. They're so much fun, man.
Honestly, I gotta say this might have been one of the easiest shows we've done just based on the pacing
Yeah.
of the show.
Oh my god, yes. I
Like, I
mean,
can't remember the last time we, like, flew through a show so fast. We only been on air for an hour and 46 minutes.
yeah, like, yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Raw will be like this too,
Yeah.
you know? But nah, that's all good though. But again,
Mhm.
like I said, let us know in the chat or the comments down below everything that you thought about SmackDown, and because we do want to hear your thoughts. But as always, we do want to thank you for taking time of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not go down to that little button right there known as the subscribe button? You press that, you subscribe to us, and you're like, oh, let's listen to more. Let's check you guys out. Oh, wait, they also talk about anime and manga and video game stuff. All
Yeah.
right, bet. We'll listen to all of that. And if you want to follow us on any social medias, all of those links are going to be in the description for you here on YouTube and on Twitch. If you guys are there, make sure you follow on there. Have all your notifications on so that way when we do go live, you
Yep.
know exactly when and you can jump right in for the conversation.
Yeah, always make sure to hit that bell because I say the same thing all the
Oh, that is
time when I
true.
Yeah, because I say the same thing all the time when I do my videos. I'm always like, make sure to hit that bell from notifications because the
Hmm.
YouTube system can be funny. It doesn't always let you know when one of your people that you're subscribed to uploads a video. Like sometimes it lets you know like 2 or 3 hours later if it happens to just appear on your sub box. So if you guys want to know right away, like Watkins said, when the podcast goes up or any sort of content goes up on this channel, the most important thing to do it's not only to show your support by like sh- giving likes and subscribing to the channel if you enjoy what we give you, so you guys can tune into our podcast episodes or whatever other content we have on the channel. It's also good to hit that bell so you guys know, oh shit, they just went live.
Yeah, because you don't want to miss any of this. You don't want to miss all this discussion. Hell, we had
Oh
a
no.
great discussion tonight, and plus, especially with King of the Ring going on, especially with Money in the Bank in the future coming up, SummerSlam coming up. Like we got a big year coming up, big summer plans coming for all the wrestling and all of our other content. Just if you're gonna look for us on social media, just remember AniMa W3 Studio and that we is with the three. So just don't forget that. And also
Mhm.
use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us with anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after our shows. And as always, feedback is appreciated as we are nothing without you tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa W3 Studio. Thanks to our production team of Vash, Walkins, Drop This Box, Rome with a Dot, and Jokester, as well as special thanks to JB and Abe. Thank you for joining us, and remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everyone.
Mm. Make sure to get plenty of sleep, guys.
Oh yeah, dude. Make sure get your 6 to 8 hours of sleep a day.
Oh yeah.